beat around. All right, guys, let's get into it. So today I got Cam Riddle on, and he is the track insurance guy. Now, I made a video about it last week talking about you guys being out there at World Cup. I saw you at, was it No Mercy?
No Mercy, Ducks
No
Race.
Mercy, Ducks Race.
Yeah.
And basically, you actually insure people from starting line to finish line, which is kind of the red zone, I feel like, where it's like,
The no-fly zone for most insurance companies.
They don't want to touch that. They'll insure you in the trailer. They'll insure you going down the road.
Yep.
But the second you get on that racetrack and the bulbs are lit, that's when they're kind of like, no.
I've been telling people for a decade that I sell other types of insurance to that, hey, as soon as you strap your helmet on, you ain't got no coverage. So that's always kind of been the thing. Like even in the staging lanes and in the pits, you'll have coverage. But then as soon as you strap your helmet on and like it's go time, you're done, no coverage. And so this product is just to fill that gap water box through the end of the shutdown. It's pretty simple. Yeah,
so that's where you stepped in, relatively recently, probably a year now you've been
We've been building it for about 2 years.
Okay.
The concept kind of started at TX2K 2 years ago, and then we just kind of finished it up and felt like we had to build a rating system, want to make it easy.
Yeah.
Just like any... you go onto some other insurance website and boom, it spits out a quote. Mm-hmm. Wanted to be able to have something like that. So that took time to develop, and then just trial and error, get it good. A lot of red tape and hurdles.
What is trial and error, though, on that? Oh, what does trial and error look like, I guess?
Just like I don't know, kind of like a flight simulation of like, okay, what happens? Make sure all the processes are completely ironed out from the financial transaction part of it, to the claims adjusting part of it, to the funding of the claims, so everything. There's a lot of red tape and regulation in insurance.
Yeah.
And so we had to go through all this compliance stuff. You got to check with each state that the race is held in. We have to go through all of our licensing, get all that stuff squared away. That's easy. That doesn't take long at all.
Yeah, because you've been doing insurance.
We're licensed in 38 states as it is, so it's not a big deal.
Oh, okay.
But just all the setup and making sure it was perfect. I'm not going to go out there and offer it and have some hiccup, right?
Yeah.
And so that took about 2 years. I mean, there's also just the structuring of the whole concept. It's not the first idea that I've had in the insurance world where, hey, I think we should do this, and then you got to go and like convince a bunch of people in the insurance industry to actually give you that product and create that policy. But that takes time as well. So it was about 2 years, but FL2K was our first race, and then No Mercy 16, and then World Cup. So we've only done 3.
Yeah, so just, you don't have to say, but like how many people at FL2K were going down the track with insurance? Was it
not
just kind of started?
Not a ton, and then I had Starlink issues. And so I went down by the tech shed, and their Wi-Fi wasn't up, so I ran and got my Starlink, and I had no cell service. And so we had some Starlink connectivity issues for just even able to produce the quotes. But each race we've gone to has gotten more and more participation, more than doubling probably each time. And a social media presence was basically zero before this. Our other company, we don't do any social media. It's all referral based.
Well, you have to educate drag racers on what
also,
it is.
Yeah, I've heard some crazy things about, my State Farm policy or some generic company, right? Will cover me on the track. And it's just...
That's wishful thinking.
It's wishful thinking.
My Geico policy will cover my 99 Camaro.
Right.
No problem.
Yeah, and it's just not the case. And so that's, I'm not going to debate it with people. But, show me a policy that definitely says you're covered at, one of these types of races. There is some other stuff out there for some, organized racing, some sanctioned racing stuff, through NHRA. But if you go into the outlaw type racing or the independent, races, there's nothing.
Because even what people don't realize is like FL2K World Cup, those are technically outlaw races. They're not NHRA sanctioned. They're not NHRA sanctioned.
The rule classes, all the safety, what tech is looking at for each class, they're not following per se like NHRA. I mean, some of the big stuff, obviously, right?
To a point.
Yep. And then it's up to that event to make, kind of their own different rules. So, outside of NHRA events, I haven't seen a policy that will insure the cars going down the track at non-NHRA events.
And then I think the other flip side is you have these one-day policies, which are really, really enticing to a lot of people. They're not signing up for the rest of their life. They're not.
They can do
maybe
it.
They'll race their car 10 days this year.
Sure.
Some of those cars.
They can do it day by day or event by event. And then we are opening it up more. Like, we get a lot of people ask, can I do it for? I'm going to do 6 races this year. Can I do it for that? And so for like the winter series, any of the racers racing those 3 races, they'll be able to buy it for the whole series, not just the first one, the second one. They could do it for the whole thing, and it's discounted. The less, obviously, like anything, the less touches on it, you can then offer a discount. So
there's going to be no cap then on the car. Like somebody's going to roll out their pro mod that's.
We'll insure them for up to $400K.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty nice.
I think that's kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Like $100K to $400K is kind of the sweet spot. You can get it a little lower with different deductibles, but like anything over $400K, now you start, I think a lot of the times looking at like either different iterations of the car all added together, or you can rebuild most cars for $400K or less, even at like retail price.
Very rarely is a car a total loss unless it burns to the ground.
Correct.
Like a crashed car, a pro mod on its roof sliding is not a total loss. Far from it.
And that's the racers keep the car.
Yeah.
We don't brand
you don't have an impound.
We don't brand it. I would have to have a whole another company for salvage cars, and
auction,
have an auction and all that stuff. So we don't touch the cars. We don't do anything with the titles to them. Like if you have a street car and something happens, it's more of like a valuation coverage. And so you keep the car. If you have a rear engine car that have a front impact and you don't, crack the block and everything, which they usually do. But if they don't, like whatever, it's your mystery box to take home and figure out what is salvageable and what not. And I think a lot of guys like that. And then also there's a good chunk of the racers that they build their own cars or can repair them to some level themselves. And so it's like if you look at full retail value of a car, paying a shop, $150 to $200 an hour or whatever to fabricate everything for you, a lot of people are, doing it themselves or have shop cars or, there's all sorts of different scenarios where somebody doesn't need to pay full retail. And that's why even if you have a $400K car, you can we call it the parts only option, but you can insure it for $200,000. You don't have to insure it. We don't have any co-insurance on our policy, so you can insure it for. We basically set the max value we're willing to insure it for, and then you can work down from there and do the kind of the parts only option.
Yeah, that makes sense too because, then you can at least be like, well, I'm not going to walk away empty-handed. It's not going to rebuild my car, but it's something, and this is what I can afford to put up, basically.
What's the parts? I've had guys on some street cars like, hey, I bought this thing for $100,000, like is the car at the dealer's lot. And then obviously I got more into it, but I want to insure it for just, if something happens to it, I can get a check and just go to the dealership and get another one and build it again. And they're not so worried about, maybe they own a shop, so they're not too worried about putting it back to where it was.
The parts,
but they want to be able to go get another new car, and so like people are doing that. And then I've had some pro mods, $400K, but they're like, there's $200,000 hanging off the front end. I feel like that's what I, want coverage for. If I hit the wall on a front end impact, I want to be able to get those parts, get it put back.
Well, a lot of these pro mods too have like a lifespan, like a serviceable lifespan. So after 50 passes on a pro mod, like that motor, the chassis fatigue a little bit. So they're almost like that kind of time to re-chassis it anyways.
Revamp it, yeah.
So it's kind of makes sense to just pull the motor out.
For those guys, we're breaking it down even to like what does it cost per pass thing. I haven't done the math on it yet, but I'll have that, available. Our rates for that stuff, I had a meeting with them today. It'll be out probably sometime next week. But we're gonna break it down. Like their whole lives is what's it cost per pass.
Yeah.
You know, and they do the math on how many passes can this motor make, and then we got to refresh it after X amount. You know, and so they know what it costs per pass just to run a car.
For Snowbirds, of course, the 3-part series, you're going to be here for the whole thing,
Yeah.
trying to get people coverage at the track. And this isn't something where, like, you could show up day of and be like,
yeah.
this is my car,
Yep.
I want it covered, and you guys will have a coverage before they even go down the track, which is
Yeah.
really crazy because most people deal with insurance, and it's like
Pain.
a year of going back and
You gotta
forth.
go get an appraisal. So our vehicle appraiser comes to the track with me everywhere we go.
Okay.
And so he's at the track. And then if something does happen to the car, we have the people at the track to adjust the claim, deal with it. Like people from World Cup would already be paid out if they were. It's very quick.
Really?
Yeah. There's no 2-3 month long claims process. Everything is, you know, look at the car. We're able to figure out valuation pretty good just from our background, ensuring all the guys that build the cars, the parts manufacturing companies, the distributors, all that stuff has kind of built a good database to this is what we'll insure it for. You know, and then how about have a conversation with the guy? You know, why is that such a foreign concept? Let's have a conversation. What do you think it's worth?
Yeah.
And just have a genuine conversation. And, you know, if neither one of us is bullshitting one another, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, as long as like your wife's not standing there, you can have an honest conversation of what the
how
car
much did that
costs.
cost? Yeah, you know, well, they won't be trying to over-insure it then, I guess, if their wife is there.
Yeah.
So they're not going to say how much they actually spent on it. But, yeah, that's all. I mean, because like I said, you can do the parts-only thing. So the only thing I'm basically trying to avoid is have you know, $150,000 car somehow get insured for $400,000.
Yep.
And then something happen.
Then he's
And then now
incentivized to wad it up.
We're you know, contractually obligated to pay out. It gets tricky, so we're just trying to not have anything get grossly overinsured. But that's, you know, it's otherwise it's real quick. Our vehicle appraiser takes a peek, looks at it, a set of value, and then, you know, quote it. We can quote it in 2 minutes. So I kind of give you a different option. You know, they give people different options of like, at this price, this deductible, you know, there's 3 different deductible options. You know, what, I guess, you know, how much can you buy? What can your program afford? The goal is to have, right now everybody has 0, right?
Yeah.
So what does it cost to get some level of coverage so that you don't have to go through like all the process of stuff that's going on right now, which is crazy nice of Grannis and what he's doing. I mean, that is outstanding. But
Very rare. That's
very rare.
That's
that,
the
to be clear,
0.1% of
does
people.
not usually happen.
So
all the other wrecks at World Cup are not getting that. You know.
So for anybody that doesn't know, Grannis obviously crashed his car at World Cup into Vlad, who neither of them had coverage, as 90% of cars currently do.
Yep.
And even there was a lot of misunderstanding in comments of, oh, does Grannis cover Vlad? It's like, no, you're under no responsibility to cover the car you hit. This is a at your own risk deal. But Grannis stepped up to sell merch and give the proceeds to Vlad, which is up to like $40,000 now.
Oh, is
to
it really?
rebuild Vlad's car that was 4 passes on it at that point.
Sure.
Just fresh,
It was
everything.
fresh, yeah.
And it's a Supra too, so it's like that adds a whole nother level.
Right.
It wasn't a
It's something you can just go get another one.
It wasn't
really
a Honda
easy.
Civic.
Yeah.
Which, no offense to the Honda Civic guys, they understand that they're not
They know what
Supras.
you're saying. Yeah. So,
like-
no, and that's just, I mean, both sides of that crash are, you know, having pretty big financial implications. You know, I think I saw Grannis's car is damaged and not going to get replaced except for out of his own wallet.
Yep.
And then, you know, he put up, I think he said it was like $17,000 of merch that he purchased, plus the profits from that, you know, that stuff. You know, so he's taking a big loss, and then $40,000 is outstanding. Again, like that usually people get nothing, but $40,000 still isn't going to replace Vlad's Supra.
No.
You know, so it gets him started, but it doesn't replace it. And so then if you look, I posted a video that had we got our first side-by-side insured cars paired up in eliminations, and it's like, well, if they would have that same scenario would have happened, there would none of, it takes all of that headache and financial implication out of it for the racers.
Yeah.
And that's all we're trying to do. I mean,
Completely. The peace of mind.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you're insured on the road.
That's it.
Same thing.
You just can't, not everybody, so you look at it from two sides. Like there's guys that just straight up maybe can't afford to rebuild the car if something happens to it. And so like then it's a good option for them. They can pay, it boils down to less than 1% of premium, or 1% of vehicle value per day. So, it's like, it changes each race, but it's always less than 1%.
Yeah. So each race is different? How you value
depending
it?
on eighth mile, quarter mile,
Got
and
it.
then types of cars. So that was part of the kind of 2 years building is collected data from all the big tracks, all the big races, put together, number of passes versus crashes, looked into what type of prep they're running, what type of cars were, involved in the accident. So we put together a lot of data to.
So like a nice no prep car on some no prep might be uninsurable almost compared to like.
I don't have any no prep races on my schedule yet.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing. Like right now, it's only available at races that I'm at.
Yeah.
For, I guess, two things. One, to help talk to people and like get people educated on what it is because it hasn't been around before. But then also just how we handle the claims process. I don't want to have to like call you and tell you. It gets really confusing if I'm not there or have our staff there to go through it. And assuming that they don't need medical attention and they're back in their pits, just again come have a conversation, look at the damage. If it's totaled, it's real easy. You know?
Which most crashes, in my experience, the guy's kind of just hanging out after the
Usually,
crash.
Thankfully, I have not seen
Cars are well enough
anybody-
built now where,
Yep.
maybe they're banged up. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like most of the time they're not like airlifted out.
correct. Yeah, every race we've gone to so far, there's been wrecks at, and thankfully, no one's been injured severely enough to like have to leave in an ambulance or anything like that.
Well, I mean, World Cup was definitely a lot of wrecks. Ducks
There was
races tend to have some
carnage.
flying cars.
There was more than usual, I was told, this year.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. It's like just because I'm there now, I start paying more attention to wrecks. But it's there's been quite a few at every one I've gone to. I think FL2K probably had the least.
Yep. FL2K was pretty clean. I will say Ducks race probably had more wrecks before like the 330 cone.
Yeah, it was all starting line stuff.
And then all of the World Cup wrecks were like
Big end.
1,000-foot shutdown area
Shut
type
down.
of stuff.
The parachute one was nasty. That actually saved that Mustang from hitting the wall, getting tangled in that
Yep.
chute. It got unfortunate for him. He got put on his lid, but he would have hit that wall hard.
That Mustang was going into that wall really hard until he got tangled up. Luckily,
that tangle up saved that Mustang
Yeah.
and the driver probably a pretty serious impact.
and then there was the red Mustang, like what, 2 passes before that?
Yeah, right right before that.
Right
It was
before,
kinda
right
back
into
to
the
back.
same spot.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a mess, unfortunately.
It's been not entertaining, but just the level of education I'm getting on just really like now studying and analyzing each crash and like looking at them. It's learning a lot about it. Once you start kind of fixating on one thing, you just you take in a lot more information.
Yeah. And you don't cover the driver at all. No injuries, no bodily injury, like because
No,
that's just
it gets so expensive.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, anybody that's licensed through the NHRA gets accidental death and dismemberment.
Yep.
I think it's like $100,000. Don't quote me on that. I don't provide that. I've never actually seen it, but that's what
I've been told it's $500,000,
Okay.
but also I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just told things.
I've never seen it. I don't have a license. I have to go talk to somebody that does.
I have a license, but also I just always assume that something's going to happen and I'm not going to get covered.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I don't know.
So I've never seen it, but I've been told through racers that do have them that there's some level of accidental death and dismemberment tied that comes with your license.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're supposed to like renew it I don't know how it works.
It's like a 2-year thing. I've heard from people though that like I was talking to a tech guy. He's like, yeah, I got my foot ran over and I was in the hospital for a couple days and they covered it $50,000, just like no questions asked. I was like, okay. He told me that, and that was like one of my more deciding factors to be like, okay, whatever, I'll get an NHRA license. Sure. You got me. Yeah. I'll have it. Just like, you know, I don't know, it's like $150 a year. It's like, okay, sure. It is what it is.
Yeah, I guess if you don't renew it, then obviously you'd lose it. But so that's the only form of kind of bodily injury that I know of. I mean, I don't sell life and health insurance at all. We steer far away and outsource that to some other people that we know. But so I'm not gonna even speak on it because I'm not an expert in that stuff at all.
So even, you know, your deal, because we were talking about with Granis, like if Granis had it, Vlad still wouldn't get any coverage because it's not that kind of card. It's not that kind of insurance.
Correct. There's no other lane coverage. And so I've been told that there was a policy through Bill Lutz like a decade ago, 7 years ago, something like that. And it was with Lloyd's of London was the carrier that the program was through. And it just kind of went away. So, you know, he didn't have like full control over the program and they just decided, now we don't want to do this anymore. And so it went away. And I think I talked to him at World Cup because he was there racing. He's got that Camaro. Yep. And he said that they used to have like an endorsement for other lane coverage, and it was like $25,000 or something, where if you are an insured car and you went across the lane and hit them, then you'd get like $25,000 for that other car. Wow. And so we'll look at doing that. You know, we have a lot of flexibility to be able to, you know, tailor it to kind of meet racers' needs. And you know, the way we, back to taking a couple of years to build it, it's all U.S. based. So
cool.
It's no overseas carriers. You know, the carrier for it's based out of Kansas City. So it's very tricky to get these kind of high risk, out of the box insurance programs built with U.S. carriers because they're so risk adverse. And usually you have to go overseas to an international carrier and get it dealt with like that. And so we're fortunate enough that we got a U.S. based one to do it.
That's pretty cool. So I guess let's talk about my wreck as an example because I put my car into the wall last year sometime.
Okay.
It wasn't that bad though.
Yeah.
So like, what do you do in my case scenario? I just I nosed it into the wall, then it kind of like smacked back and hit the quarter.
Sure.
But it really only needed a bumper, a hood, and a fender. It didn't need.
Right.
It was like $1,000 worth of work.
So that's our deductibles are 10, 25, and 50,000.
Okay.
And so, you know, obviously if the damage total is less than your deductible, then there's no claim, right? And so, but if there's a partial impact, like a Dirty Taco at FL2K, right? That truck obviously wasn't totaled. It was back at World Cup, but it needed some repairs. I don't know exactly what all got done to it, but it sounds like some framework, some body work, some suspension stuff, brakes. You know, a big enough ticket, right? That truck's got some, you know, serious money into it, but I would guess there's, you know, whatever, 40, 50, 60, 70 grand, a decent amount of damage done to it. So in an event where it's not totaled, again, our vehicle adjuster comes over there, go through it, and it's likely that, especially on the streetcar stuff, for sure, if you didn't build it yourself, we probably know the shop that did build it and insure them also, and like, what is it, you know, and we just can kind of go through what got damaged, tally it up, say it, you know, comes out to, you got the car insured for $100,000, and you have a $10,000 deductible, and the damage comes out to $50,000.
Yeah,
we'll cut you a check for $40,000.
But how does it work? I guess for if you're just doing like 1 day payment. I guess I'm just I'm only able to understand it from my insurance mind of like my house or my car.
Sure.
Not this like 1 day where I may never get another day type of insurance. It's like, it's kind of confusing for me to get, I guess.
On like how you pay for it or how it pays out?
And how you pay for it, how the deductible structure kind of works, I guess. Like if I was to come to you, you know, Snowbird's morning to get coverage.
You came to me and you say, you know, hey, I want to get insurance. I'd say, okay, you know, let's go check out your car. And that's why I spend all day at all these races in the pits walking around looking at cars. And we look at your car. You tell me it's worth 100 grand for easy math. I look at it, and if I agree that, yeah, I'll insure that for 100 grand, then we can insure it for 100 grand. I think if you're going to, on a $100,000 car, you're probably going to take the lowest deductible, 10K. So then it has a $10,000 deductible on it, and you're insured for the day. We don't count passes, laps. There's no, it's just you're insured for that day. Say it's December 6th. You're insured for December 6th at this racetrack. You buy the policy, and then it expires at 12:01 a.m. If the event, I guess technically if the event ran past midnight or whatever, for any time of racing,
for that racing,
part of that event,
if they crash at 12:30 at midnight,
because
I'm in the finals,
right? You're still any part of racing, water box through the end of the shutdown for that event is what you're covered for. And then if something does happen, if you do more than, if you total it out, and just the deductible never changes hands. We just take it out of the check. Then we'll come over to you, get all your banking information, and initiate a $90,000 wire transfer.
Interesting.
And it'll show up into your bank. Banks aren't. If banks were open at Saturday at 10 p.m., it'd be a lot quicker, but they're not. Mm-hmm. So, people would probably have it on Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest, sometime the following week after the race.
So, are you taking money from these people at these events?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're paying you right there on the spot. Got it. Just
correct.
I'm just trying to piece
so
together.
Basically, we have a rating software that, as we were talking, I just take down your name. All I need is your name, phone number, email, VIN or serial number, chassis number if it's a chassis car, what value, what deductible option, your home address, and then I click quote. It spits out a number. You say, yep, sounds good to me. Hit buy now, put in your credit card.
Interesting,
and then it immediately emails you a receipt and a copy of the policy, all while we're standing there in 2 minutes.
That's pretty interesting.
That's what took time to build. It's a very high-level insurance software. Same.
So on $100,000 evaluation, what am I giving you that day?
Again, changes kind of event to event, but thinking back to
FL2K maybe.
I don't remember all that, but World Cup. Just last week, on 100,000, it was $2,800 for the whole. That was we don't cover testing, so Q1 through eliminations.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow, that's actually really, really affordable. I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what it.
Right. I mean, we think it is right, and that's I get somebody say, "Man, that's expensive." Most of the time, the response is compared to what?
Yeah.
What are we comparing it to? Because if I look in the trailer with all the spare parts you have, those are way more, and I get that that's
go shop around.
Those are compared to what what other insurance policy, or then the spare parts. Obviously, those are tangible. You could sell them, so you can recoup money off spare parts for sure. Where this is just a piece of paper that gets you a check if something happens, right? So it's not a super tangible item that you can go resell. But for price of cheaper than a lot of spare, ring gears in some cars are $3,500.
Yeah.
I mean, so for the price of a
turbo,
get into
a turbo.
A turbo,
is that price. So
and that's it's pick a spare part,
pretty reasonable.
And based on your value of a car.
Yeah.
We're just meeting today and talking about snowbirds and stuff, and for a 300, what do we do? We did a 300K car, and those are not, the rates aren't finalized yet, but it's shaken out to be per pass, because we were trying to do the math on per pass, less than people pay for test hits on and so it's okay. Because I've literally seen guys pay for test hits on a track, whatever, $300, $400, $500 for one pass, and it's coming out in the same ballpark. So if you're gonna pay $500 or whatever for a test hit, you can pay the same thing per pass and that was assuming 5 passes in the event, and I actually I haven't even looked yet how many passes probably cars are going to make it. If you went Q1 all
World
the way
Cup,
through,
one per day.
yeah, it's it's usually one per day, but I don't know what they'll make it Winter Series. I haven't actually seen like
They'll probably make 3
schedule
ish
per day.
Yeah, just because it's a little bit more manageable of an event.
Number of cars,
less oil downs, less crashes for the most part. It's smoother,
and those are all factors we take into play, right?
Yeah.
So like World Cup, a lot of high mile an hour, big shutdown, which is cool, but just a lot of high mile an hour stuff and people kind of going for broke. Like it's their one race a year maybe that they're really trying to win, or what? I mean, just trying to set records, big spectator crowd, people turning it up. I mean, I think there's more probably exposure at that race in particular than some others. So those are all things.
Well, it's the only race I know of that so many people get hit. Like I have not been to another race that I can really think of that I've seen cars actually get hit by their competitor like that.
Right.
And I've seen it multiple years at World Cup where a car will change lanes and actually take out the competitor.
And that's one of the things that I've been talking about to people, like best driver, best car, always goes A to B, straightest car you can think of. Those are all great things. Brett LaSala told me the only way to not get hit by the guy in the other lane is
it's a green bell for him.
Oh, that's the green bell for him.
Brett.
is to be so far out in front of him.
Yeah,
that's the only way you guarantee.
But even at World Cup, he was going perfectly straight, and then the car just right towards the wall. Thankfully, he kept it away from the wall. But like, great car, great driver.
Yep. Yeah, he got close to the wall in FL2K too, right in front of me. I
thought he was going to touch his exhaust on the wall.
I was standing out in front of my motorhome talking to some people, and then I went up to the fence to see him, make a pass, and he literally came onto that left barrier in the left lane right in front of me. I'm like, oh, that would be something.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that was his advice. He's like, the only way to not guarantee you don't get hit by the guy in the left lane is be so far out in front of him they can't hit you, which is, that's great advice.
Yeah. It happened to him at World Cup last year where he was thankfully far out in front of the car.
The guy behind him.
And the car's tumbling
down the track.
Both lanes behind him. Well, unfortunately, she's okay, but she was tumbling behind him. It's one of those things you can't prepare for, but I guess that's insurance reasons. My experience too is a lot of these snowbirds guys are business owners, and business owners love insurance. Like your construction worker guy,
they're used to buying it.
And they're all used to it.
They're used to buying it, and I think that's what nobody's used to buying it right now. Yes, it's an added expense. Racing's expensive enough as it is. But it's expensive not to have it. Is what I think people will realize now that it's kind of out there, and that they start thinking about people they know that have wrecked and didn't have it, and what happened, and how expensive that got for them. Versus, I guarantee, if you talk to anybody that did wreck and you ask them, "Do you wish you would have had the insurance?" They're all going to say yes, of course, because that's how insurance works. Nobody wants it or wants to pay for it until you need to use it. And I feel the same way. I sell it. I sell all sorts of types of it. I have all sorts of stuff insured.
Well, I think
it's just one of those deals.
So the fact that you could do one event or one day thing and you're new to this world actually lends really well to you, because people aren't like, oh, well, I may never see this guy again. It's like, well, even if they don't, they still just had the one event covered.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, you're in it for the long term because you've been doing, presumably you've been doing insurance, I know, for a long time, and you insure a lot of shops, but they have that more confidence almost to buy it. It's like, well, I'm just buying it for this. I'm not,
no, they
attaching
don't need
the rest of my year to this.
They don't need to buy it every time, but my goal is that anybody that does buy it is going to get treated in the sense that, I can shake their hand and look them in the eye at the next race after they use it, right? Because it's not like, if they ever have to use it, the relationship is still going to be look them in the eye, shake their hand. Like, I don't have even the option. I wouldn't, but I don't even have the option to, because that's one of the biggest things that people think, oh, insurance companies are just going to screw you over, get out of paying it somehow.
Yeah, they're going to blame
They're
you.
going to blame you.
Yeah, your steering input was wrong.
Some exclusion to, get out of it, right? And that's just not, like, it's not an option. My whole other business, the shop insurance guys, I don't own that agency, but if I start messing with racers and jacking up their claims and stuff, the performance industry, race industry is so small, right? It's like, it's all going to go around.
It's the same. It's the same. What, I don't know, probably 60% crossover of cars from FL2K to World Cup.
A lot of crossover.
Three-car takeover to.
I go to TX2K and I look out into the pits and it's like, I'm looking at all the toters and the trailers, and then like on our shop policies, their garage keepers coverage for the shop carries over into the pits. So like you look at a T1, he's got usually 10 to 15 cars, GTRs and Lambos in his camp. Most of them are customer cars, and so our shop policy that we have with guys carries out the garage keepers to the pits, and so we're insuring all those customers' cars in everybody's camps, the trailers, the toter homes, all the stuff. And then that's what the light bulb kind of just went off. I'm like, the only time we're not insuring them is I guess now 5 to 10 seconds that they're actually going down the track.
Yeah.
What would it take to fill that time frame?
And TX2K is a great one, and if you're connected with Tony already, his car, they're all customer cars, very wealthy guys that would love to insure those things.
For sure. Yeah, all those we're based out of Texas, and so a lot of the performance shops in Texas are our customers. And
oh, that's pretty cool.
Tony was like Tony and Boost Logic were like some of my first customers.
Oh, nice.
And so got lucky with some pretty cool.
T1's got a cool program going on.
Yeah. I think I don't know how he tunes so many cars when he's at. I mean, just in general, but then like even at like TX2K. I mean, he's kind of like the Motec wizard.
Yep.
And I don't know how he is able to tune so many cars and keep his head straight.
So your shop side of things also covers all those guys when they're in their wedding venue tent at TX2K. I always laugh because it's like
it is like a
wedding venue tent.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so the shop, we built a program for performance shops.
Yeah.
Because they were just getting hammered. There was a couple options out there. When I first started selling insurance, I come from the automotive world, and then just kind of fell into the insurance world by happen's sake. I went to school for automotive technology and engineering. I went to night school for it, and then worked at an independent, worked at a franchise shop, worked at a dealership. Learned I'm not a corporate guy, so like the independents were definitely better fitted for me. And then went down to Texas, worked at a couple shops down there. Went to like Hennessy's second or first. I was a second tuner school class, just to learn some more, advanced. Cool. They learned a bunch of stuff in automotive tech. It was a 2-year program up in Minnesota. Dunwoody was the name of the college. But, wanted to get into more performance stuff, and so that had just started. Went and checked that out. And then for some personal reasons, had to move back to Maine. I was born in Boston, grew up in Maine. And there was, no shops. So I opened
no car culture up there.
None at all. And so I opened my own shop. It was a little gas station and a little shop right on Main Street in the town that I grew up in. And so that was pretty cool. And it was run down. It used to be like an old shell. Mm-hmm. And revamped that, made it nice again, full-service gas station. And I was doing light performance and mostly classic restoration stuff. And then my now wife is from Minnesota, so I'm all over the country, right? And she was finishing up college, and she's in finance, and there's really no finance industry big in Maine either. So
yep.
Then I had the opportunity. 2 retired police officers that were brothers in the town wanted to buy it because there was like a open functioning gas station now, and so they took it over, and didn't really know what I was gonna do. I was gonna move back to Minnesota or whatever, and Brian Buck had just started his own insurance agency. It was all automotive, and he's a family friend, kind of relative on my wife's side. And we would talk about it. Like, he would ask me, like, does this make sense? Like, if a customer had this happen, blah, blah, blah. And, like, we'd talk about the automotive side of it. And so he was like, I'll teach you the insurance. You already know the automotive stuff, and all we do is insure shops and anything else automotive. Like, I'll teach you the insurance. Come on down.
Yeah.
Back to Texas, learn for a couple of years, and then you can go live wherever you want to live. And so did that. But he told me, don't just try to stick to performance, because, like, hey, there's not really any good carriers writing it. You need to diversify and do the general repair stuff and the body shops and
your quick lube, oil changes.
Do all the general stuff that we have really good programs for. And he's like, don't just do the performance. And I didn't really listen. And
stubborn, car guy.
Stubborn. And I'm like, I'm gonna keep chasing this performance. Like, somebody has to be doing it, right?
Yeah.
I just couldn't fathom that. I walk into some of these big shops with millions of dollars worth of cars, and they, like, don't have insurance, or they have really shitty insurance. It doesn't cover, has like a per car max of like $100,000 on their policy for customer cars.
Yeah.
It's just like, this doesn't, why are you even paying for this?
On a base price of $200,000
the
Lamborghini.
car off the showroom floor is $250,000, and your policy has a per car max of 100 or 125, and then the customer's putting in another 200. Like, you're not even covering 1/4 of one car, and you have 50 cars in here. I've seen so many crazy things. I'm like, there's no way this is actually
just
happening.
Insurance.
And so I used all the carriers that were available, and then built up a big enough book of business of it, kind of across the country, that I was able to go to the same company that we wrote the track insurance program with, Spark Underwriters out of Kansas City, and asked them to put together a performance program. And so we did that, and that's been years now, and that's great. And so then when I came up with another genius insurance idea of, let's insure them while they're going down the track.
Yeah, of course,
like
the dangerous part.
The dangerous part, they were kind of crazy enough to let me run with it.
That's cool.
So,
yeah, I mean, nothing cool ever happens in the pits. You got to insure them where.
I've had issues in the pits.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a tram that was shuttling guests from like one parking lot, then up to like the entrance gate and stuff. Hit a pretty high dollar car, and so I've had issues.
Rough.
Issues.
The tram driver.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know what happened to the tram driver, but
you hit a what?
How much did that car cost? And it did some damage. So
that's rough.
That probably didn't go well, but Plasma Man intakes walk out of SEMA, and because any shop, they can bring stuff to different places. You got to be able to go to the track, bring your tools and equipment, bring your parts inventory, display it. And we've had Plasma Mans walk off out of the SEMA booths. Trucks, trailers get stolen out of Vegas.
So it really reaches that far. Then that's pretty nice. Yeah. I mean, I knew from my time when I was working with Garrett, Cletus McFarland, of course. Our insurance was always spotty because nobody knew how to insure us.
And you're in Florida. Yeah.
Florida, we traveled all the time. Like, we did dangerous things kind of as part of the show.
Sure.
For a time, we were insured as a circus.
Sure.
That was the best they could come up with.
That's what they came up with, yeah.
They were like, you guys are circus exhibitioners, because we would host events in different places. And
event liability is super tricky, and that's,
and we were like the performer technically.
Right.
So it's like,
you've got all sorts of,
it was kind of a mess.
Liabilities going on.
And then I guess, like, when other people looked at it, they were like, this isn't going to cover you at all if anything happens.
Right. And they just don't even pay for it.
You have this to feel good.
Yeah. Or get a lot of the times I see, if you don't own the building, you got to get a certificate for your landlord, provide them proof of coverage. And so people buy some policy that doesn't, they might think, or they don't, or they know it doesn't cover anything, but it gets them, the certificate of insurance they can provide their landlord so they can stay in their shop.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you want to spend that money to literally, it doesn't cover anything you do. All it does is make your landlord happy. Or you can spend this money and actually protect your business and, like, all the avenues that you could go down, from traveling to doing trade shows to bringing a car somewhere on a trailer, because there's some policies look really good, and then, Garage Keepers doesn't expand into while it's in the trailer. So it's not covered for travel.
Well, and word travels fast, too. I mean, if your car's at a shop and something happens to it and you're kind of left holding a bag, I think that's going to be
that's the biggest one.
Pretty strike on the shop owner.
Oh, big time. And that's most policies pay on ACV. And so then you take a $200,000 car off the showroom floor, customer puts another $200 into it, thing gets mangled on a test drive. If you're on a policy that pays ACV, they're going to pay even less than $200,000 on the thing, and so then that extra $200 the customer just spent specifically with your shop, you're left holding the bag for.
Yeah,
they want to be obviously made whole on their investment.
Yeah,
and so paying ACV on performance cars does not work, and so that's like we had to create a program that'll pay on an agreed value basis, and so we reconstruct off receipts and look at this is cost of the base price of the car, and then it's a Calvo 1300 X package.
Yeah,
those go for this
one Viper.
Every
Viper is one of one.
It gets real hard when you get this is a one of one ACR E or whatever. I mean,
they're all one of one.
It's just it gets
they made so few.
It gets tricky, and obviously nobody can insure for sentimental value, right?
Yeah.
That's just it's not a thing, and so they get real devastated when it is like a really rare car that we can't physically replace. You just get the financial compensation for the car, but maybe you can go find one, maybe you can't.
Well, yeah, because some of these cars, when it gets destroyed, it actually goes up in value because now there's less of them.
Yeah.
So it's like if that white with no stripe Ford GT gets destroyed, guess what?
That was the last one.
Yeah, the value of all the other ones just rose.
Yeah, it gets tricky.
You kind of ruin the market by destroying it.
I had a C7R get stolen. That was a very rare optioned out C7R, and it got joyridden road whatever around the city. I did some extracurricular activities in it and then wadded it up on a light post and just left it. And so the police recovered it, but it's like, it was mangled.
Here you go.
Yeah, it was all the carbon on it, mangled, wheels mangled, interior trashed, and it's like this, where are we going to find another one of these? And it gets tricky, but if the policy's on ACV, you're totally hosed.
Yeah.
And then the shops are almost always left holding the bag because it's like, well, number one, you're dealing with a customer that has the kind of disposable income to purchase the $200,000 car and then put another $200,000 into it. Those people usually then also have resources, and like if they feel like you're screwing them, they're just going to sue you. And so,
well, yeah, too. Does it fall into like a taillight warranty type of thing, where it's like once I see the taillights, you're not covered anymore. But if it caught on fire down there because of the customer car just walks out the door, catches on fire about a mile down the road,
that just it switches from garage keepers to completed operations. And so that's kind of the second. Those are the two biggest coverages that need to be right at a performance shop. Really, any shop, but especially at a performance or race shop, because the garage keepers covers, the definition of it is non-owned vehicles while they're in your care, custody, or control. So they cover it while they're at the shop. But then as soon as you flip the keys back to the customer, it falls under completed operations. And now the big issue with that is, again, most policies have an exclusion on page 384 that no one reads for completed operations. If you modify suspension or drivetrain from OE spec, completed ops is excluded.
Yeah.
And then, or I've seen
they should, because if the oil line for the turbo drain back on your R8 comes undone and the car burns to the ground,
what do you do with all the performance? So our policy doesn't exclude it, right? We have, all the biggest shops building the craziest stuff have completed ops coverage through us, just because we only insure the ones that we feel know what they're doing, right?
Are qualified
to do it, and that's why we've had no social media. It's all just, we call it like a little members only club. You got to pretty much get referred in from another shop in your area. Like if your shop's located in an area that I don't know of, somewhere out in the different part of the country, you got to get my number from somebody and then call in. And we don't just write every shop that calls us. We want to ensure just the top percentage of the performance industry and trust them to build the cars correctly. Yeah, shit still happens. You can't control that. Accidents happen. But, we want to ensure the guys that are doing it right. And then we offer them, the completed ops coverage that they can build whatever they build. I mean,
yeah,
30,
because there's
35.
some shady stuff even in like the R8 world.
Oh, yeah.
Like the high-end performance cars that you are in it pretty heavily, I would assume.
The V10 world is blown up. At first,
there's a lot of drama in that world.
A lot of drama, yeah.
And shops that you may have thought were really good, turns out they're not.
Well, they just, there's a lot of people have gotten involved with the V10 platform. It's been not super popular, and then it's really ramped in hard. And I think pretty much every shop that was building GTRs or any other type of import performance exotic is now doing V10s heavily. And then even domestic shops are now dabbling in them as well. Everybody's playing with them at this point, and it gets interesting, But I trust if we insure you, I trust that you're gonna make good decisions.
Well, like the rising tide on that has brought the policies probably so much more expensive, because it's like even with GTRs, when you used to have $100,000 car, now it's a $250,000 car.
Right.
And like now there's a lot of shops doing it. The shop that used to work on a Corvette that cost $35,000 is now suddenly got a $250,000 car on the lift.
Right. Well, so basically you have to up your garage keeper's limit, to cover the additional value. But we were able to do that like during COVID. Like we looked at just even some general repair shops. All right, I've got 4 bays. I maybe only need a couple 100,000, 300,000 of garage keepers to cover the cars here. But then all of a sudden, when your generic Tahoe and pickup trucks are now 80 or 100K, instead of 40 or 50 or 60,000, it's like, man, it adds up a lot faster. And so we started bumping people's garage keepers limits. Just to keep up with when all the vehicle values spiked crazy high.
Even think about that. You see like a dually platinum F450 rolling
$25,000 truck.
Yeah,
it's a pickup
8-month back order on them.
Right. And that's on our performance program that we built with Spark. We build in a kind of an excess garage keepers of $500,000. And so people are, let's say pretty decent sized shop, you need $2 million of garage keepers. That's what you're rated on, and that's what you're paying for. And then we build in a kind of a $500,000 buffer, just for before race season. Like if you're a shop in Texas before TX2K, you might get a little slammed. The month before, have a few extra cars in the shop, or somebody drops off an ultra high dollar car that's above where you're normally working, at, and so we just provide an extra $500,000 of coverage built
like a little cushion.
Yep.
Because
otherwise you're either left underinsured, or people are calling all the time saying like, hey, can I bump it up? Insurance is all fluid, right? Mm-hmm. So you can endorse the policy up or down.
Well, then they have a dyno right there, which is like a whole nother
dynos are
scary thing in itself.
Yep. A lot of misunderstanding about dyno stuff. What happens if tuner's tuning my car and blows it up, and we look at we've paid those claims for sure. I mean,
it's paid a claim of a tuner blowing up their. Yeah. Oh man, there's people texting their tuner right now.
It depends on how they're insured. It depends on how they're insured, but it's all circumstantial. I mean, the most kind of recent one was a batch of GTR motors that all got built and assembled, and then valve covers went out to powder coating. They thought they were doing medialess blasting. They weren't, so left the baffles in. chewed up 6 motors, you know, and then it's like, well, whose fault is that? Is that engine builder's fault?
The guy that
the
put the valve
installer's
covers
fault?
on without looking?
The powder coat, you know, guy's fault? Whose fault is it, right? And so then you kind of have this pointing the fingers game. And then you got, okay, well, before we even point fingers too far, like, who has insurance, right? So powder coating guy, you got insurance? No. Okay, so we're not getting anything out of you easily. Like, it's going to be a real process. So then
the guy that works out of like a one bay garage
right,
isn't paying for 6
GTR motor, you know, stage 4 motors.
Sorry,
right?
he's closing down.
Yeah, it's just, you're not getting any compensation out of that.
Yep.
So then, okay, what are we looking at now? And yeah, it's tricky. But if you're a shop and you subcontract out something like powder coating to another company, but all the payments and stuff are processing through you, the customer is trusting you to ensure work quality and it's done correctly, and so you're liable for it. And so that would fall back on the shop every time.
I mean, you're at fault. If I'm the customer, I'm like,
I had nothing to do with this.
I didn't even know.
I didn't even know you sent it out to powder coat.
Yeah.
I just told you I wanted them blue. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
You know, they
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me. Just make them blue.
It's like the guy mounting a tire. It's like, I don't get it. What do you mean? He scratched the wheel. That was on you.
Yeah. And so the shops end up, you know, liable for it. And then, you know, that's a whole different coverage that a lot of the time is not covered. And so we've had those claims. Hurts. It takes, you got to have people that understand the automotive industry and how a shop works and the different, you know, skeletons that come out of the closet and get you, to have somebody be able to properly, you know, insurance is just defense.
I think having an insurance policy and insurance provider that you're not afraid to call is nice too. Because, like, you know, that's always the thing with homeowners insurance. It's like, the second you use it, you don't have it anymore.
Right.
And it goes up, and it's like, oh, great. So you kind of look at everything through the lens of, should I even
reach out
to them?
Consulting people on situations. And obviously everybody always, you know, if it's going to be a covered claim, you always have, it's your policy. You have the ability to file a claim. But I talk, like, that's the thing. I have such a good relationship with all my insureds. You know, we talk, I see them at the track, see them out at PRI, SEMA, whatever. And we talk about it.
Yeah, like, so you can discuss before they file a claim.
The implications of what I think, you know, it'll be.
Is it worth me just paying this out of pocket?
Correct.
Should it be a claim? That's comforting in itself.
And that's the key on that is, I don't work for the carrier. We're an independent agency. I only work for my customers. So there's no, I'm going to bat for you against the carrier, like, to get something covered.
Yeah.
And I just understand the policy, right? And how it works and how something's going to be covered or how it's not going to be covered. And, you know, depending on, like, what happened, you know, be able to tell you if it's going to be covered or not and how the whole process works. But I work for my clients. I don't work for, you know, any of the carriers that we write the business on. And so, you know, if you get I'm not saying it's bad to, if your agent is an agent specifically for a single company and, like, that's what he sells, they only sell one thing. I'm not saying that's terrible. That's just not how we do it. Because if you think, like, I sell the product for this company and then people are trying to file a claim through me for this company, there could be a bit of a conflict of interest from upper management or some, you know, executive saying, we don't want to pay that or what, you know, whatever, because it hurts the very company that you're working for by paying claims. So
yeah, that makes sense.
We don't do that.
So what's your plan going forward here? It sounds like the shop side of it is pretty much sustaining on running on itself.
Yeah,
so
that's
you're trying to dive deeper into the track insurance stuff.
Yep.
Do you have a list of events you'll be at? Because you have to be on site. So you're now a traveling.
Yeah, travel. I played diesel mechanic today in the Walmart parking lot. Thanks for helping me out, by the way.
I attempted. I mean, I didn't really do anything.
Well, you did get it running, right?
I jump started it.
Yeah,
but
you got it running, and then it died again. So I've been playing 2 nights in a row in the Walmart parking lot.
If anybody has an RV, they understand.
They understand.
Yours is a 2003, but it doesn't matter if it's a 2026.
They all got problems, which is, you know, just makes you really not want to you just want to go trade the thing in and get rid of it, but it doesn't do anything. Like, you have the same problems.
You might as well get a pull behind if you're not going to tow a car.
I know. Well, so
just get a pickup truck and a fifth wheel.
We're going to build
behind.
We're going to build a car.
Oh, okay,
so,
that makes sense then.
Go down that avenue. That'll start next year.
Because I was going to say, are you going to sponsor someone?
Yeah, I've been
get the sticker on the side to get.
Sure, we've been on Brett's car, Greenbelt. And, no,
that's where I met you the first time. Was in his pit.
And I just knew of him from Real Street Days as their customer of mine, and
oh, okay.
So I met him, but didn't really know him. And then I was in Bradenton in January of this year, renewing some shops and stuff, and just thought, I'll stop by TBM. I wanted to see how they manufacture the stuff. I'm in thousands of shops every year. I've seen a lot of shops. I'm always interested to see how people make things, and how a business is run. And so I stopped by there, and as soon as I walked in the door, he was standing there, and so I recognized him. He recognized me, and then Snot Rocket 3.0 was sitting there, and so we just started talking about it. Kind of told him about the track thing that was coming out, and we talked about it, and it just kind of worked. I never wanted to really put any stickers or anything on anybody's car, because then, like at TX2K, put one on a T1 car, but then, well, why didn't I put one on any Jotech cars? Right, there is conflict of interest, and so I'm like, man, he's kind of Switzerland. This could work, and it, worked for him because I'm not another parts company or something that would be conflicting with motion and TBM and all that stuff, and so it's just kind of a nice neutral. Yeah, let's try this out, and so we did TX2K in March. It's had the shop insurance guys on it, and then we've been doing the track stuff on his car. For the last 3 races, FL2K, Ducks, and World Cup, and it'll be on there for Snowbirds too.
Funny, you're at every event that he goes.
Yeah,
he happens to go to all the events that you're already
right. And so like for 2026, we'll do the whole winter series down here, and then I like the Radial Outlaw series. All those, there's like 6 or 7 of them. Yep. So we'll do all those ones, and then obviously TX2K, FL2K World Cup. I was going to go to GTR Fest next week, but I'm not going to make it now with all this motorhome debauchery, and all my stuff is here, and I don't have time to drive the motorhome to Texas and then to bring it back to here.
Well, I mean, this weekend there's the World Street Nationals in Orlando. Yeah, which is a pretty good one as well.
Big one as well. Yeah. There's so many races. I think I can, at least probably for the first year, maybe 2 years, I can probably handle 12 to 15 races.
It's a lot of travel.
It's a lot of travel. Like today when you showed up, I had no idea you just had a kid 3 days ago. Congrats again, by the way. But I've got our second kid will be born next month, and so it's, as you know, tricky to find the time to travel, and that's my wife's definitely pregnant, and we got a 2-year-old at home, and so
we're in the same boat
dealing with all that stuff, and me being gone is definitely hard. So
it's a little bit of father guilt there, I'm sure.
I feel I FaceTime him every night, and talk to him, and he's like, "You going zoom?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not, but some of our cars we're insuring are and
that's awesome."
He just likes looking at the cars, So we FaceTime, but it definitely gets tricky. So I think as he gets a little older, and when my wife's not 8.5 months pregnant or whatever, they'll come with me to the track, and
actually have your own car.
Yeah, be able to just go in the motor, see if that motorhome is still the motorhome.
Maybe that motorhome, maybe
that
motorhome.
One, maybe just a motorhome, and be able to go to the tracks and bring them with me, and then we'll have our own car. We got a couple options. One is a super unique option. Plan A is a 64 Thunderbolt. So
64 Thunderbolt.
Yep, the guy that we hired he was a client of Brian's for 20-something years, 25 years. And then we hired him to be our kind of vehicle appraiser, and he's been building cars 40 plus years. He's in the Wyotech Hall of Fame, and when he got inducted into the Wyotech Hall of Fame, they gave him no drivetrain, but an authentic '64 Ford Thunderbolt, which there's only 100 made.
Yeah,
and so
such a funny gift.
It's right. Wyotech had one for some reason, and they're like, "Here you go,
give it to that guy.
Give him this, shell of a car." So it's complete. It's a complete body, just no drivetrain.
That's cool.
So option A is we're gonna put like a twin turbo Coyote setup in that thing and keep it as authentic and original looking as possible. Just modern safety and drivetrain in it.
That's cool.
I think it's like way more expensive to try to find the 427 that came factory in that car versus just putting in an FFRE like block and a couple turbos and call it good.
Pissing people off. It doesn't matter.
It's gonna happen. I mean,
maybe at most like a Gen 3 Hemi.
Most people haven't even ever seen a Thunderbolt.
I couldn't picture one.
It's a Ford Fairlane.
Oh, okay.
But they launched it and came out with it in '64 to compete in the like NHRA super stock stuff. And so it's a fiberglass hood, fiberglass fenders. It was like a early version of a drag pack car that we see now, right? And so it was their drag pack that came out, and it whooped ass in '64. But I guess they kind of cheated or something, like advertised 1 horsepower, and it was way more. It was a controversial car from Ford to compete against Chevy and Mopar back in the '60s.
Yeah, they normally cheated at the time.
They all were
kind of the part of the fun.
Doing something, but yeah, they made 100 of them to satisfy some production law or whatever, and there's not a lot. I mean, I've never seen one. His has been sitting under a tarp in Texas for a long time
since he was inducted.
Yep. Yeah, I think he said 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, it's like it's a somewhat inconvenient gift to get because you're like, what do you do with this?
What do you do with it?
Yeah,
I have to restore this thing now.
I didn't want to give me a project. I got enough of those. Like, I would assume.
I looked briefly on the internet to find a 427 like big block Ford. I couldn't find one.
Yeah,
there's not an authentic one with the right intake and fueling on it. There's no.
Yeah, and if it's not authentic, then it might as well be a Coyote,
right,
or a small block Ford or something like that.
Make it drivable,
So then I guess that would lead my biggest question of like, what about a drag and drive? What about a sick week? Insure.
I've talked to Tom Bailey.
Insure the whole package, I guess you could say.
So they have. I think his name's Tyler. Tom had already kind of put together I don't know a ton about it. They advertise it as sick insurance for, of course, on
everything Tom
or sick something, and so they have off track.
Yeah.
Right. And so they have that piece that they're running with, and so that all falls under like personal auto, which I don't want anything to do with anyways. We're a commercial agency on the other side, and then the track side is just the track side.
Yep.
And so I don't want to do any off-track personal auto policies
you don't want
necessarily.
To deal with like a stoplight incident.
No, and there's carriers out there that are doing it. American Modern, Haggerty, other people they're really good at it, and so it's like I'm not gonna play in that field. There's really good people doing it. And so they're doing that. They have a thing called sick insurance. But I talked to them about doing the on-track stuff. Gets a little dicey for just more logistics when it's in multi-states. I have to do filings for each one and licensing. So
because it touches Georgia.
If it goes, Florida to Georgia and back, whatever. So I just got to do both states. And so then, the rates and everything, I have to do stuff with the states. And so I would just have to do it with 2 states instead of 1, or like I think a couple of the drag and drives go to like the one out in Colorado and Nebraska. It goes to like 5 states or something.
Yeah, multi-states.
Oklahoma.
Sick week is the only one that really stays true to like Florida, Georgia.
Sure.
And it only goes into Georgia one day. Well, 2 days, but one.
Yep.
Well, one day I think coming up this year, but.
And then that's not a huge hurdle. I could definitely get over that hurdle pretty easily. And then I just think I just got to look more into what car count and then vehicle values. Is there a ton of 100K plus cars going or not? Because right now our sweet spot is kind of like 100 to 400.
Yeah.
For the on track stuff.
Those are the guys that tend to get insurance too. So it's
and so it's if basically any race that has enough vehicles over 100K, I'll be I would look at to go to for sure. There's a whole bunch of obvious ones that we've already talked about, but there's also tons of races all across the country that I don't know about. And so those are kind of the two deciding factors on if we'll offer it at an event or not is car count and then vehicle values.
Will you stay away from an airport?
I get a lot of calls about the half mile stuff and airport stuff.
I stay away from them personally because
that's I mean, it's like Calvo. I'm pretty good friends with him and sure his shop, and he rolled he walked away. But he rolled it at one of those, and I've had a couple other customers have issues at those. I mean, I think there's.
Yeah, I knew a person that passed away at one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Hageman.
Okay, that was That was like what 2019 or something.
Yeah, in his GTR.
Okay. So I think we're probably thinking of the same guy because I watched a guy drive away from T1's office that was heading to a half-mile shootout, and then he passed away. So that was
probably him. Yeah,
that was probably him.
Unfortunately, it was a T1 car.
I was sitting at T1, and that car pulled out and was like, "Oh, he's heading to a half-mile shootout," and I got a text the next week, saying, "Can't believe it."
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Yeah, that was a while ago now. That was 7 years ago.
That's the same one I was thinking of. So, but a few that I'm like, I don't know. I'd have to look at. I don't have enough data, right? So we collected 250,000 passes worth of data on quarter-mile tracks and eighth-mile racing and stuff like that. I'd have to get some data from Shift Sector and the other event organizers on. Let me see what kind of numbers you got. And
you're just going to avoid NHRA now because there's already stuff in that world, or it just doesn't really.
I just haven't, Mike. So we are focusing on the ones that we are doing because that's where our clients from the other side race at.
Okay, that makes the most sense. Yeah, because
like when I go to TX2K
down the door over there.
No, I don't want to do that. Not saying I wouldn't ever, but the natural flow of progression is, when I walk around the pits and I already know people, or I walk up to a car and it's a T1 car or it's whatever car, it's like, oh, I'm very familiar with you guys.
Yep.
Package, great car, nice R8, whatever. I know what it is, and so like stick with the familiar,
Well, especially those guys where it's like, they're 10 identical cars.
All same package.
Tony already knows them all.
Yeah.
Like, you can just go talk to him if you want insurance or not.
Right.
It's pretty easy, straightforward deal.
Well, and that's I can get, with being new and not having like any social media before, people got to get to know me, know who I am. And so if I go to events that, somebody knows, one of those guys that I insure, and then they shoot him a text, this has literally happened. Shoot him a text, or, I had other shop customers at World Cup. They were like, one guy went and talked to one of them and was like, is this like legit? Do you know this cam guy? And he's like, yeah, he's insured me for like a decade. Like, yes, it's 100% legit. And so then he texts me, he's like, all right, come back to the pit, let's bind it. Like, there's always skepticism about insurance, and I totally get it, and drag racers aren't the biggest, fans of insurance. The demographic.
Well, it's scary. It's like, wait, you're insuring this thing I built in my backyard?
Right. It just, it's a different beast, and they haven't seen it, presented in this way. And, if they don't know, who we are and the people involved in it, then why would they trust it?
Yeah.
And so by going to races that we have a good customer base at, they can, kind of vouch for us. I'm not asking for, give us a bunch of shout outs and stuff, but people talk, like, hey, I talked to this dude, Cam, he said this. Is that true? Like, do you even know him? Because you hear that all the time, right? Oh, I know so-and-so. And then they talk, and they're like,
yep.
Do you even know this guy? And
well, it's also unfortunate, too, because, like, not that you need it, but, like, somebody getting a check would be the biggest spark
100%.
You know what I mean? And you don't
100%.
want that to happen.
We literally have one of those like trifold lottery checks.
Yeah.
That, 100% more, not, excited to buy a car or anything.
Of course.
But I think the proof of concept in the pits.
Yep.
If something happened and then we walk up, adjust it, and, hand the guy one of those fake lottery checks made out for however much money he's actually going to receive, and then 48 hours later, it's in his bank account. All of a sudden, people are going to go, "Oh shit, it's real."
That's what I mean. No one wants to see that, but I know for you, that would be like the biggest spark to it all, and like the show of legitimacy of it. It's just like, oh, it actually happened. Yeah. Like somebody actually got paid out, and you don't want to, of course.
No,
you'd rather not ever have to pay anybody out. Because these guys just wadded up their car and got hurt, likely.
We're obviously fully prepared to pay for any car that we are willing to put insurance on.
Yeah.
We have to. Obviously, we know it will happen eventually. It's just, we didn't build a program based on, we're just going to collect all this premium and never have to pay out. I mean, we could have already paid out on millions of dollars worth of cars. It just hasn't happened yet, so it will. As much as some people are like, you really just want people to crash. I'm like, I'm actually like the last guy that wants anybody to crash, because first of all, I'm like a good human being. I don't want people to crash and get hurt and lose their cars, but like also we lose money. Like I don't want anybody to crash.
Yeah, obviously. The business is built off of not paying people out.
Right, so like I definitely don't want people to crash, but of course it will by doing what we're doing. Of course it will happen. There's no preventing it. If we just don't insure anybody, I guess that's the only way to do it, but we've already crossed that bridge.
Walk around the pits and shake people's hands, never actually insure anyone.
Never do it.
Be safe.
We'll cross that bridge, but we have all the processes and procedures, and got a lot of questions like, is it just like you like writing a personal check out? And it's like, no, dude, there's so much regulation and insurance.
Might not be right for that.
That's like
if that guy doesn't understand insurance to that level.
Yeah, like literally was like, do you have any backers? Like, no, there's it's fully funded, and like you have to have X percentage of cash reserve to pay for claims based on your total insured value. There's so much regulation. So yes, obviously it's fully legit. We can't overextend, like insure more stuff than we can, pay for. There's no way that it's not like let me just make out a check and it bounces.
Like, oh man, that was a big policy. I don't know. Let's check the account.
Let's double check, make sure we got. It's not.
We need to sell a couple more policies before we can pay that guy.
No, it doesn't work like that. So obviously we're fully prepared for whenever that does happen, and I don't really like I got a bunch of texts from people like after the first crash at World Cup, and like, oh, you should make a bunch of posts about it and stuff. And I don't want to like capitalize on or like try to use that as like a marketing thing, like people wrecking.
That guy's
like,
bad fortune.
Obviously, it's like the perfect marketing thing for what I'm selling, but I'm like, I don't really want to market this like per se. I think let's like what we're doing, like discuss the ins and outs of the repercussions of crashing. Like instead of specifically just like clipping a video and like, I think it's way better to have a conversation about, two uninsured cars crashing. What is a racer's responsibility? What happens? And then what would it be like if they were insured? And, that's it. I'm not going to make like a big marketing campaign about it.
Well, there's probably people that don't race their cars right now. They probably have a car they could race, but they're just like, I can't afford to lose it.
I'm sure there is.
There's probably cars sitting in garages right now, just not worth it type of thing.
I've talked to some people that use hired drivers, and they're like, the drivers can either start dropping off a bag of money on my desk, or we're taking out a policy. Like those are going to be their choices. Those are some of the more high dollar race team cars and stuff.
Yep, of course.
And they're just like, I've lost two of them, or whatever. And they're like, $1 million and, 2 cars. And he's like, I can't can't do this, for less than 1% of the thing. I mean, yeah, all day long.
Yeah.
I don't know how they work it out with their drivers or whatever, but we can do. The vehicle owner doesn't have to be the driver, and that's always, I get that question a lot too. Like, what if I have somebody else drive it? So, a hired professional driver,
Yeah.
a shop owner. We have a lot of shop owners that drive the customer cars.
Well, you probably saw it at Ducks race. I mean, Lyle Barnett drove half the cars.
I don't know
there.
how many cars he's driving, dude. We were just talking about that. I don't know.
I thought he was going to have to race himself at one point.
It's crazy. That guy's got some skill.
He's
I don't know
so many cars.
I don't know him, but he's got some freaking skill because I don't know how you get into so many different cars with, is it a shoot on a button? Is it a handle? Is it what? I mean, just all the systems, and then do well.
Yep.
It's not like
be competitive.
It's not like he just goes A to B.
And put in any car.
He can put in any car. Never sat in a thing before.
Yep.
And compete, and win sometimes. I mean, it's just insane. It's not like he's just out there making slow A to B. The guy's, I don't know how he does it. I'd love to talk to him and be like, how do you do that? But he somehow does it. And
he makes it work.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna end this off here. What's the call to action? I guess people can find your schedule because they can't really go get a policy online. They can get your schedule and know what events you're going to be at. Really, is kind of what we can.
Yeah, they can. I mean, they can go to our website and click and get a quote. It's just if the what races are uploaded into the system.
Yep.
So like right now, World Cup was in there. Now it's not in there, but Snowbirds will be in there. Like by the end of the week, you'll be able to click on Snowbird stuff. But yeah, our social media,
the track insurance
follow
guy.
that. We'll post all the races we're at, and that has all my contact info on there. So that's any questions people have is, I mean. Obviously try to answer stuff as unbiased as possible, and I try to approach things with a kind of a no bullshit, just direct response, like that policy covers this or it doesn't, and so any questions people have on their stuff, feel free to reach out
for the track stuff, and then obviously the shop stuff. I mean, that's more of a
that's easy. Yeah, that's super easy.
I don't know if you want people reaching out for shop insurance, if that's even a thing, or if that's just
it is.
If you know type of thing.
I mean, that's how it is, but it's how it's always been for the last decade. But if you got a good shop and you want to reach out.
Yeah. Okay. So the shop insurance guy as well.
Yeah, it's all
shop insurance guys. Track insurance guys, check them out. Yeah. It's on everything. I appreciate you coming on and shining some light on this because it's obviously something that most people were pretty probably confused on. And maybe we answered some questions. Maybe I asked the right things.
We'll see.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. I will see you next time.